Hello, good morning, and welcome to another exciting time where we get to talk about business. It is Business 360, and my name is Blyden Ukem. In Business 360 today, we'll look at some of the biggest stories in the world of business. And one of the key talking points has been that regarding former crypto boss, Sam Bankman-Fried. Well, let's begin from there. Former crypto boss Sam Bankman-Fried has been testifying to a judge at the trial after the jury was sent home. He was asked to speak to Judge Lewis Kaplan to determine which parts of his testimony can be put to the jury. The 31-year-old is accused of lying to investors and lenders and stealing money from customers of his now bankrupt cryptocurrency exchange FTX. He put forward arguments that he was acting on legal advice in good faith. The judge sent the Fury home so he could decide which portion of Mr. Bankman-Fried's testimony, if any, would be admissible as evidence. The move gave Mr. Bankman-Fried and the lawyers a practice and a run before he potentially speaks in front of the jury. Still on the foreign scene. A strike has shut down all shipping on the St. Lawrence Seaway, interrupting exports of grains and other goods from Canada and the United States via the Great Lakes to the rest of the world. Around 360 workers in Ontario and Quebec, Canada's largest private sector union, walked out early Sunday in a dispute over wages with the St. Lawrence Seaway Management Corporation. The strike has shut down 13 locks between Lake Erie and Montreal, bottling up ships in the Great Lakes and preventing more ships from coming in. Let's find out more from Johan German, the Detroit and Wayne County Port Authority.
In the St. Lawrence Seaway system. It's a big deal. I mean, the St. Lawrence Seaway system as a whole, so far this year, has brought in over $16 billion of commerce. And that commerce affects the steel industry, the transportation and construction industry, the farmers. And each day that there's a loss of millions of dollars.
Meanwhile, Palestinians and Israeli envoys made impassionate pleas to the UN General Assembly on Thursday, with the Palestinians urging delegates to choose justice, not vengeance, while the Israeli said his country wants to ensure that Hamas can never attack it again. The war between Israel and Hamas has caused global fears amid uncertainties in the Middle East and further market supply disruptions following the Russia-Ukraine war. Let's find out details from the UN General Assembly.
Choose to defend the law, not justify to all of you. Vote to stop the killing. Vote for humanitarian aid to reach those whose very survival depends on it. Vote to stop this madness. You have a chance to do something, to give an important signal. Choose justice, not vengeance. Choose to defend the law, not justify its breach. Choose peace, not more wars. Do not miss this chance. Lives are hanging in the balance, and every life is sacred. Please save lives, save lives, save lives. Vote for our draft resolution, and I thank you.
Israel is not at war with human beings. We are at war with monsters. Our goal is to completely eradicate Hamas's capabilities, and we will use every means at our disposal to accomplish this. Not for revenge, no. Not for retaliation, no. But to ensure that such depravity, such atrocities never.
Such a concern within the Middle East and the possibilities of shortage and blockades and disruption within the market sector. Well, let's talk about the Chinese government issues in Africa. The Chinese government has issued a race security advisory to its citizens in Kenya, citing increased risks due to geopolitical and local concerns and extremist activities by Al-Shabaab. The advisory asks Chinese nationals to stay clear of regions close to the Somalia border, including Mandera, Wajir, and Garissa, as well as Luma. This statement comes in the wake of a security alert issued by the U.S. Embassy last week. Still in Africa, Pakistan now stands as Kenya's top export destination outside of East Africa, accounting for a larger market than the US and the Netherlands. Pakistan is currently Kenya's largest export market, owing to an increased demand for tea. This represents growth in Kenya's tea sector for the last 8 months. A breakdown of Kenya's export earnings, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, revealed that Pakistan purchased Kenya's goods worth 48.28 billion Kenyan shilling, an equivalent of $321.44 million in the first 8 months of 2023. This represents a 19.29% bump over 40.47 billion Kenyan shilling, an equivalent of $269.44 million in the same period in 2022. Now in Nigeria. Femi Otedola, the Nigerian billionaire investor and a major stakeholder in Geregu Power, has demonstrated his philanthropic spirit of 1 million naira to every one of the 750 students at Augustine University. As the recently appointed Chancellor of Augustine University, he received a scholarship contribution, which encompasses or revealed a scholarship contribution that encompasses both new and returning students for the 2023-2024 academic session. The scholarship donation in its entirety adds up to 750 million naira. In addition to the scholarships for students, Otedola also disclosed additional contributions to Augustine University. Talking about key players in industries. Key players in Nigeria's coffee segment are optimistic that the industry has the potential to earn $2 billion in the next 2 to 3 years. This buoyant outlook is underpinned by the growing demand for coffee emanating from developed economies, a trend that industry insiders are keen to capitalize on. Looking at the details of this, data from the United Nations Comtrade database on international trade revealed that Nigeria's export of coffee, tea, metal, and spices amounted to $38.63 million in 2021. Against this backdrop, industry leaders are strategically positioning themselves to tap into the global appetite for coffee products. Meanwhile, the acting managing director and chief executive officer of the Infrastructure Bank, Nkiru Chime, has said that the bank will engage state governments in the management of the Infrastructure Support Fund. In December 2022, the World Bank still judged Nigeria low on infrastructural development would take 300 years to fill the gap. The federal government recently said that in order to attain its national development plan and improve Nigeria's economic outlook, it will require 298.3 trillion naira capital investment and commitment from the private sector. It said the total investment needed between 2021 and 2025 is 348 trillion naira, but only 49.7 trillion naira, 40.3%, is expected to come from the government, while the rest will come from private sector players in the economy. So looking at businesses within the country. The federal government has signed a $463 million power distribution line upgrade and contract with the Chinese consortium. While making the announcement in Abuja on Thursday, the government explained that a contract would be financed by the China Exim Bank, as it had both offshore and significant onshore contents. So talking about businesses in the country, the Special Advisor for Strategic Communication and Media Relations to the Minister of Power, Bolaji Tunji, disclosed this in a statement, which stated that the deal would enhance the availability of electricity to homes and businesses nationwide. Now to global economic standings around the world, beginning with the United States of America. The U.S. economy expanded 4.9% in the third quarter and most since fourth quarter of 2021, compared to a 2.1% expansion in the second quarter and market expectations of 4.3%. The strong figure was a result of acceleration in consumer spending, private inventory investment, and federal government spending and upturn in exports and residential fixed investments. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, Business 360 continues. Welcome back. It is Business 360 and my name is Blyden Kim. Still talking about global economies. Let's look at European interest rates. The European Central Bank kept interest rates at multi-year highs during its October meeting, marking a significant shift from its 15-month streak of rate hikes and reflecting a more cautious wait-and-see stance among policymakers, influenced by a gradual easing of price pressures and concerns about an impending recession. This decision follows a series of 10 consecutive rate increases since July 2022, which elevated the main refinancing operation rates to a 22-year high of 4.5% and a deposit facility rate to an all-time record of 4%. The central bank also stated its determination to ensure that inflation returns to its 2% target over the medium term. Meanwhile, the European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde made the announcement during the news conference following the central bank's decision. Let's hear from her.
The euro area economy remains weak. Recent information suggests that manufacturing output has continued to fall. Subdued foreign demand and tighter financing conditions are increasingly weighing on investment and consumer spending. The services sector is also weakening further. This is mainly because weaker industrial activity is spilling over to other sectors, the impetus from reopening effects is fading, and the impact of higher interest rates is broadening. The economy is likely to remain weak for the remainder of this year. But as inflation falls further, household real incomes recover, and the demand for euro area exports picks up, the economy should strengthen over the coming years. Economic activity has so far been supported by the strength of the labour market.
Is a story about the European Central Bank keeping rates at pause for the first time in a long while. And now to the commodity markets. Oil heads for weekly losses. WTI crude futures strengthened above $83 per barrel today, but we're still set to lose about 5% this week amid easing concerns of a wider conflict in the Middle East. Still talking about oil market. Analysts pointed to ongoing diplomatic efforts to delay an expected ground invasion of Gaza by Israeli forces. Signs of weakening demand in the U.S., the world's top oil consumer also weighed on prices. Let's quickly go to the market and see what the prices are for these commodities, the commodity market this morning. According to the market analysis this morning, the price of crude oil, U.S. crude, stands at $85, upward by 1.806 points, a 2.17% gain. Brent price is also upward by 1.92 points, which is Nigeria's price benchmark. $89 per barrel. Natural gas, not much of a significant difference, and gasoline, similar story. But the price of gold for the metal is at $1,986 per ounce, gaining 1.68 points, and that of silver $22 US per ounce. Let's look at further commodity markets and what the prices are for other commodities. Copper prices slightly upward. Soybeans upward by 12 points this morning, $1,291 US per bushel. Wheat price also slightly upward by 0.51 points. Coal price upward 2.2%, point rather, 1.65% upward, 135 US dollar per ton for the price of coal. The steel price gaining 14 points, iron ore a little here, a little there. And it's a story while lumber price is upward by 9 points. The commodity market have shown great possibilities and potentials in terms of the gains this morning. Let's talk about a foreign exchange market. The Euro futures opened lower after ECB decision and press conference. While looking at the Euro futures as it opened lower, about ECB rates and the press conference, Larry Shaw will give us insights regarding this.
Euro FX futures open a session edging lower. ECB rate decision deciding not to raise rates as expected, although the first time in more than a year. On top of that, press conference had some familiar language and really didn't do a whole lot to affect the market. Also, in the early going, we had a litany of U.S. economic data. On the strong side, third quarter GDP and durable goods. On the other side, the weaker side, initial claims and jobless claims rose a little bit more than expected. Get into the mid to late session, fairly range-bound all the way to the close, despite cross-asset volatility in the stock market, bond market, and also crude oil. That said, we had a press conference from ECB President Lagarde saying nothing more worse than feared, as it were.
There's a story about the currency market. The top currency gainers this morning are the Australian dollar at 0.47% and the Mexican peso 0.27%. And the biggest losers are the Polish zloty at negative 0.35%. Now quickly, let's move to the market. The euro against the US dollar and afterwards Naira's perspective in the market this morning. The euro against the US dollar has shown a slight positivity 1.05 point mark, and the pound against the US dollar still at 1.21 point mark. Let's look at the states of the Naira against the majors. The US dollar against the Naira. Negativity for the majors as Naira recovers after 3-week slump. 789 Naira equaling $1 and the US dollar downward by 13.2 points this morning against the Naira. The euro also downward by 8.34 points and the pound downward by 8.5 points at the closure of yesterday's market. Quickly, let's look at the paro market and what the prices are this morning. Looking at the paro market, 1,290 Naira equals $1 buying rate and selling rate 1,280 Naira. For the pound to the Naira, 1,518 Naira equaling £1 at the buying rate and selling rate 1,543 Naira. The euro to the Naira, 1,353 Naira equals €1 at the buying rate and selling rate 1,323 Naira equals €1. Quickly to the cryptocurrency market, what the prices are for these commodities. The crypto market looks relatively downward this morning. Bitcoin downward 52 points, Ether downward 11.17 points, and Binance also downward this morning. And also, if we are to look at the stock market this morning, what the prices are, let's have a look at the stock markets, what the prices are, beginning with the indexes and afterwards the company stocks and the African stock market. Indexes are positive this morning from a stock perspective. The US stocks gaining 17.34 points. There's also the Japanese stock gaining 331 points. And the company stocks, what the standings are for the company stocks this morning. The price of Apple's, Tesla, and the rest. Let's have a look at it. For the market, the Russian stock market gaining 14 points. Let's look at the company stocks and what the prices are this morning and the identities that comes with it. Well, the price of Apple, it's upward slightly. Tesla also upward by 12.38 points. Amazon, on the other hand, gaining 7 points. And Meta, downward 11.18, is being that of mixed fortune in the market. And here we draw the curtain on today's edition of Business 360. Thank you for being a part of it. My name is Blyden Ukem.